Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Daryl.
And Daryl, this is episode 293. We're getting closer to 300. Prepare for glorious purpose, my subjects.
Prepare yourself.
All right, so no news bites this week. We've got just four main topics. Can we have four main topics?
Well, I mean, it's our podcast, so
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, the main topic is obviously Superman and Lois because we're both in love with this show. But we've got the Masters of the Universe Revelation trailer dropped, and then Eternia exploded with news and conjecture and conspiracy theory. So we're going to talk about that a little. Loki premiered on Wednesday, which I believe is the first non-Friday show Disney Plus has put out.
that we care about, at least. I don't know about some of these other
maybe
shows.
some of the other things, but yeah, it seems like everything is on Fridays. Then the Bad Batch, which came out today as of recording on the 11th. Funny enough, the Bad Batch, I had to scroll over 9 times to get to the Bad Batch across like the header today to watch it. That's how little Disney thinks about this show.
Yeah, they do a disservice the way that they highlight it or don't highlight it.
Right.
Anytime it was WandaVision or The Mandalorian, there's no way you would miss it because it's right there.
It's the very first thing
at the top of the banner.
So. Even Virtue Signal and the Neutered Soldier didn't get like the prime billing. You had to scroll like maybe 3 times to get to that.
Yeah, it's
so.
And the fact that it's a Star Wars show, regardless of what we think about it, it's still a Star Wars show. So
Star Wars, it's the greatest IP in history.
Do a better job.
Just do your job. Market the goddamn show. Anyway. So yeah, I mean, we have all that to talk about. I mean, it's been a weird week in pop culture. There was news, but there wasn't news, if that makes any sense. There was more drama than anything else.
Yes. So, although there will be a plethora of news this weekend with E3 starting tomorrow, running through Tuesday, I believe.
Yep.
So there's definitely going to be some hopefully some big news coming out of there that I'm going to be paying close attention to.
Yep. So our video game correspondent will be will hopefully be putting out some content over on the YouTube channel for that.
Yep.
Isn't that right, you video game correspondent, Daryl?
Yes, and I have my microphone. I have my my earpiece in. I'm pushing the earpiece in. This is Daryl Jasper from. I don't even know if E3 is going to be. Is it all virtual or if they are actually having it?
It's California.
In a
the
place.
State doesn't technically open for like another 4 more days.
Yeah.
So.
And I forgot about that. So.
Who even knows? So. All right. First up, we have Masters of the Universe Revelations. I just want to start with a very positive note. This trailer is amazing. It was the animation looks really good. It doesn't look lazy like Invincible. It doesn't look kind of disjointed like Castlevania, even though it's the same studio, Powerhouse, or right? Yeah, Powerhouse Animation. Like, did you watch Castlevania?
I watched the first season. I watched the first season and part of the second. So I don't know if the animation has changed or not. I do want to go back because I was actually fascinated.
Yeah,
I actually liked the story, but other stuff came out and it just got put on the back burner for me. But now that season 4 is over and done with, I really do want to go back. But yeah, it's one of those with the animations and some of these. It has that almost animation, but not. It's a little bit more almost like angular in certain ways. That and there's sometimes there's some wonky movement in the action.
I didn't love the animation in Castlevania, so I just stopped watching.
So in this one, and again, I agree wholeheartedly about this trailer. This trailer looks fantastic. The I Need a Hero has been
absolutely
blaring in my
perfect song.
head.
I've been whistling it
all
all day.
Freaking
I've just been
day.
walking around
Yes.
whistling it. Hey, remember when I used to start a show and then just like no matter what, watch it until it wasn't on the air anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like everything. I quit shows. I don't even go 3 episodes anymore. It's like if there's something offending in the first 2 episodes or something that I don't like or just like it doesn't look like the story's going to be interesting, I'm like, I'm done until somebody else tells me this.
You
is
do
good
a Kramer.
and I'll go catch up. But
you pretty much do a Kramer.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm out. Now, but if I do love a show, I mean, I become an evangelist for it and I post about it and tweet about it and talk about it and wear t-shirts about it and you know it's all that fun stuff. So make you watch it or vice versa. So yeah, all right, so the summary for Masters of the Universe Revelation goes as follows. Masters of the Universe Revelation, developed by Kevin Smith and produced by Powerhouse Animation Studios, is a sequel to the 1983 through 1985 filmation series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe Revelation is set after the final battle between He-Man and Skeletor and will also tell the tale of Teela, a former captain of the guard of Castle Grayskull, who, after the destruction of Eternia, seeks out the missing Sword of Power to prevent the end of the universe. Herein lies the drama, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Herein lies the drama. All right. So, real quick, back in May, I want to say May 5th. I'm going to pull up the article so I can give you May 13th. Sorry. Kevin Smith sat down with Entertainment Weekly and did a really in-depth interview where, well, first off, the person, Nick Romano, he didn't write the title of the article, so I'm not going to blame him necessarily. But the title of the article is Masters of the Universe Revelation Unleashes the Powa, P-O-W-A-H, with the first look at Kevin Smith's series, and they had a bunch of pictures. All right. At no point did he say Powa. He completely enunciated the R to the point. All right, here's the weird shit about this article, though. It starts talking about She-Ra, or She-Re, if you will. The Netflix version that is much maligned and controversial. And there's even a video with, like, the She-Ra cast at the top of this article in an interview with Kevin Smith. So,
yeah,
why?
I don't know.
So, but I mean, it goes into it. It's talking about, you know, Chris Wood is He-Man, is the voice of He-Man. Chris Wood was Mon-El on Supergirl. He's done a ton of stuff. Was he on Glee? I think he was on Glee. I think everyone on Supergirl was on Glee. But here it says the first quote from Kevin: "Everything I've ever worked on in like 27 years. This is easily the top 5 of my favorites, most satisfying projects," says Smith, a He-Man superfan who show runs Revelation and executive produces with Mattel Television's Frederick Soleil, Anna Burnett, Christopher Keenan, and Rob David. "When I die, they'll be like, he made Clerks, remember? Because that's the most memorable thing I've ever made or ever done. I think this has a running shot to be like, he made Clerks and that one other cartoon that one time," is what Kevin Smith says. All right. So right here, he's called a super fan. And I think he's trying to act like he is the, I don't know. It just comes across like he's like, yeah, Superman. He-Man's the shit. I'm all in on He-Man. I've always been all in on He-Man. Right.
Right. And so one thing I told you, he never used the word superfan.
He didn't. You're right.
However, and that was the important part to me. And later on, I think it's in this article or in another article, he says that, you know, he was watching this and he never collected the toys because he was at 14 and his mother was like, okay, you're too old to collect toys. But he said at that time he was very much into DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
And He-Man was right up there with it.
Right.
So that tells me why he did not say, I'm a super fan.
Right.
saying that, and you know how much he's into DC and Marvel
Oh yeah.
comics his whole life. So if he's saying that, that means he is a super fan, even though he didn't use that term. So I just want to, kind of say, while he didn't say that exactly, he
Right.
kind of confirmed it by saying Masters of the Universe was up there with DC and Marvel for him.
Right, absolutely. And so you guys are probably wondering, like, why are they talking about Kevin Smith's stand-in of He-Man? And it's because Twitter never forgets. Twitter should change their little bird to an elephant, because Twitter never forgets. All right, from this tweet at 11:37 a.m. on January the 13th, 2010, Kevin Smith tweeted, "I wasn't a He-Man fan, but Gallery 1988 is running an awesome Masters of the Universe art show. Look," with a tag to ihavethepowerart.blogspot.com. And again, like, so this is where it's coming into, and they're calling him a super fan, and I was actually having an argument with Angel. Like, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt right before I read the plethora of He-Man fraud exposed, Kevin Smith caught in a lie, not a fan, all about Tila drama. I 100% now think He-Man is like that trailer, that amazing trailer that we just got to see today.
It's the first episode.
It's the first episode, and that's it. Because there's a picture in one of the articles. It might even be the Entertainment Weekly. Oh no, I don't want to do that. In the Entertainment Weekly article, where it's Tila. Hold on, let me get to it. Yeah, there it is. It's slowly coming up. So it's Tila, it's Evelyn, it's Robot Man, or whatever his name is, and
Orko,
and Angela.
Andra.
I'm sorry, Andra. Sorry, Roboto, not Robot Man. See, I wasn't a huge He-Man fan, so I'm not pretending here. But like, the only one who looks like the character from like the first trailer is Evelyn, right? Tila's jacked. There's no more curves to her. She's got like.
You mean Abby?
Abby, yeah, right. So here's the other thing. Sarah Michelle Gellar is the voice of Tila. Like, the Clownfish TV people made a great point. There's no way they're making this show and Sarah Michelle Gellar is the voice if Tila's not the main character.
And I'll have to say, I love seeing the voice cast. You have Kevin Conroy's in this.
Amazing voice cast.
Liam Cunningham, Henry Rollins, great cast. But
Mark Hamill doing the Joker, doing Skeletor.
And I was a fan of Buffy and Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm not. Again, they do things with voices, but I'm not seeing her, especially this Tila. I'm not seeing her as Tila's voice.
Yeah, I know see her as like the original incarnation of Tila.
But that's a little nitpick, and I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things of what we're talking about. Yeah. But overall, I think the voice casting is very strong.
I mean, Lena Headey is Evelyn. Here's the interesting thing here. Andra is voiced by Tiffany Smith. If you don't know that name, I'm not surprised. She was like the host of the YouTube show DC Daily. Like a few years ago before it got canceled. It was really good. I mean, she was good at at hosting it. But Kevin Smith was on that show all the time. So, this is the reason she has this character. And then the other fun thing that we were talking about, Justice for Gingers, before we started recording, is Andra was a white, redheaded woman, and now she's a black woman who, they are describing her and Tila as a couple.
Which that brings us back to Kevin Smith and his chicanery. Well, I'll say it that way, because again, was this a few weeks ago? Clownfish TV ran with a rumor that they heard about this exact thing.
Because they said they had an insider leaking things.
Yeah, that He-Man was not the main character, the main protagonist of this story.
Right.
That Tila had a girlfriend, and what did Kevin Smith do? His reply was basically He-Man is at the forefront. Tila does not have a girlfriend, or there is no girlfriend, or something along those lines. And then and again, we don't know about the girlfriend part.
Right. Which,
but the fact
to be honest, doesn't matter.
that
Like, Tila can have a girlfriend, fine. That is the least.
I don't
like. And again, making Andra black is the least interesting thing about the character.
Yeah. My issue is seeing that synopsis from Netflix talking about it's up to Tila
right
to do X, Y, and Z.
Oh yeah.
That's telling me that He-Man is not in the picture
Dead.
like we want him to be.
Yeah, so when he says He-Man is front and center, he's just talking about the first episode. So it's a lie of omission, right? He's just like, yeah, no, He-Man's just, he's not around. He's just a guy. He's there. He's he's pushing up daisies because Skeletor killed him and took the sword. You know what I'm saying? He did this. But I used to love Kevin Smith. And I still love Clerks. I think Clerks is one of the greatest movies ever made. From a strictly narrative point of view, right? It's like Ghostbusters. It's not really about anything in particular, but it's just really good at being about nothing in particular. Mallrats, I feel like it's not just a cult classic, it's a classic. Dogma is hands down his best movie. Hands down.
I love Dogma.
And, Alanis Morissette is God in Dogma. Zero issue. I thought that was great because Alanis Morissette is amazing. But it's like, dude, wow. You used to be all about story and storytelling and making the story come first. And here he is I don't want to say bending a knee or anything like that. But here he is just kind of I don't know. I don't know why I don't understand why this is why this has to be the way it is. And let's be 100% honest. He-Man is niche. All right. If we learned anything from Shiri, when you make the hardcore very vocal Masters of the Universe fan base upset, they're not going to support you.
No.
And you need that core support. And when you have the people who are like, oh, this is just to sell toys because Shiri was the best show ever. Haley and I watched the first 2 episodes of that. And I was prepared to sit through it with her because, I'm a dad. And that's
sacrifices.
What dads do. Right. Sacrifices must be made. And she was like, Dad, I don't want to watch this. I'm like, oh, thank God. I was like, oh, thank the gods of the colonial fleet. So you don't want to watch this? Great. No, I'm no longer on my list. So say we all. But like you said, this voice cast is amazing. I mean, Alan Oppenheimer, who was the original voice of Skeletor, who's 91, is coming back as Mossman. You have Kevin Conroy, like you said, as Merman, which I think will be interesting.
Bear McCreary is doing the score.
Yeah. So, on paper, it's dude, this is going to be a hit. And so it's coming out in 2 parts. It's split into 2 parts, 2 5-episode parts. So I'm going to guess part 1 is going to do pretty well. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's looking like this is just going to be the Tila show, nobody will watch part 2.
Yeah. And again, there were some other quotes in these because there's the Entertainment Weekly, then there's one from Bounding into Comics, and there was another one. But Ted Biaselli,
mm-hmm.
he's the director of original series at Netflix. Listening to him talk about this, because he told Kevin Smith, he's like, please don't talk down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make fun of it.
Right.
Don't wink. Treat it like Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from reading that quote is another one of those things that kind of almost jazzes me up, because you have this guy, the director of original series at Netflix,
mm-hmm.
saying something that he really, really has fond memories of this show, and it just gives me such hope. And then I won't say my hopes are dashed. I won't say that, but it's severely hampered, because one of the things I told you when you were when we saw the trailer and you were a little bit down on some of the stuff we heard, I'm like, sort of the optimist. I was like,
Mhm.
well, I said, let's hope this is like the rumor of The Witcher, because back when The Witcher came out, there were rumors coming out that said that Geralt, Henry Cavill's character Geralt of Rivia,
Mhm.
was going to be kind of a secondary character, and you were going to have Ciri and Yennefer as the main characters of the story.
Mhm.
That did not happen. Again,
Yeah.
I was hoping that that was going to be the case with this, but then you see the synopsis, and I'm again, because it's in two parts. Maybe part one is like that, and part two actually He-Man comes back. I don't
Yeah.
know, or it's
Yeah.
vice
Again,
versa.
I don't know, but like you look at the original He-Man series, right? Paul Denis,
Right.
Paul Denis from Batman the Animated Series, who from Justice League Unlimited, from Batman Beyond, from Static Shock, from all of these great animated shows of the 90s, wrote a massive chunk of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Um Especially early on. You had J. Michael Straczynski write some of this stuff. J. Michael Straczynski wrote a ton of She-Ra. You know, I like, you know, when we sat down and like rewatched everything a couple years ago with Haley, like I kind of like She-Ra. I thought She-Ra was like a little more of a compelling show than the original He-Man was, and I personally
Mm-hmm.
like the 2000 He-Man. That's the one that, like, if I could just go back and watch, that's the one I would watch. Um So the 2000 to 2004. Anyway, it was only 2 seasons, but it was good. It was like that Thundercats season show that got 26 episodes. That was the
Yeah.
recap, reboot, whatever. So yeah. Now, if you're gonna call something like a direct sequel, you have to stay. You unfortunately are giving yourself swim lanes that you have to stay within,
Yes.
because I've been thinking about this a lot. Who are you to change 40-year-old characters? Who are you, like Brian Michael Bendis, to change 80-year-old characters, 60-year-old characters, 70-year-old characters from the core of what they are? You know, and so I mean, it's just one of those things when you're thinking about it. How how can you be anything but disappointed if they don't strictly adhere to, not just the story, but like the core tenets of the characters from the original.
And that's the thing, and we've talked about this so much because this is continually happening. That's the thing people like us that have history with these characters have issues with. It's the fact that they are ignoring these tenets of these characters and what these characters are about and who these characters are. If you want to create a black character, if you want to create one, there are plenty of black characters out there,
If you
no
want
doubt
to
about it.
if you want to race swap a character, at the end of the day, it's not important, right? I mean, really, like there's a few characters where it's important, right? You're not going to make He-Man black. You're not going to make, well, you shouldn't make Superman black. You're not going to make Batman black, or Bruce Wayne Batman at the very least. You're not going to make Miles Morales white. You're not going to make T'Challa white. You're not going to, there's just, you're not going to make Luke Cage white. There's just certain things like that. But when you start looking at these people who are like, and we're going on forever. Like I'm kind of done talking about this, to be honest. When you have existing characters from existing material and you decide, oh well, I'm just gonna willy nilly change this. Who are you to make that decision?
Yeah, if you want to do that, make your own character.
Yeah, exactly. But just put a new
That's
character
all.
in. It's a sequel, right? Like this person showed up
Mm-hmm.
after the battle. This new
Yeah,
character named, Josephine, who, made eyes at Tila.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. And again, like kind of wrapping up with this, like I said, my hopes are not dashed. I love the animation. I love the voice casting.
Mm-hmm.
I love pretty much everything Bear McCreary does.
Oh yeah.
So I love him being in this. I'm going to give I'm yeah, obviously going to give this a go, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that 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 synopsis there was a little bit misleading because, okay, if you don't have He-Man in it for an episode, maybe 2 episodes at most, because this is only 5 episodes, like the first part. Okay, I can deal with that. But again, this is Masters of the Universe. This show, He-Man is at the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean it in the sense of center of the story being they're searching for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's front and center as the character himself on screen. And that's what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that, this is all, we're getting, a little bit concerned about nothing, but I just don't think that's the case.
Right. Yeah. So anyway. All right. So moving on to the next topic. All right. So Loki premiered this week on the Disney Plus, and episode 1, Glorious Purpose, of course, because, when we first meet Loki in the Avengers, he's talking about his glorious purpose, right? Directed by Kate Herron, who is the showrunner. Written by Michael Waldron, who is the writer of the Multiverse of Madness, if you did not know.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. So this show's a little weird, right? It's 6 episodes, and they gave us with this episode essentially like a 0 issue of a comic book. They kind of set the table, and I feel like with the type of character that Loki is, and there were some high points in the episode for sure. It should have been Loki hopping around the multiverse just with the Tesseract from the get-go, with Mobius and Mobius on his tail.
And honestly, when this series was first announced, that's pretty much what I thought it was going to be. At least part of it was. That's what I thought. I thought, okay, yeah, he has a Tesseract. He's going to be hopping all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Tesseract is out of his hands less than 60 seconds into
right,
a little bit more than that, because we do get, flashbacks to Avengers Endgame and how all that happened. But
yeah,
for the most part, it's out of his hands almost immediately at the start, within the first 2 minutes of the show.
Right. So, I like the look. I like the aesthetic of the show. I thought that was quite cool. I liked the banter between Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, and I don't know if I've told you this, but I'm a big Owen Wilson fan. I like I like everything he's not everything, but I typically like watching things he's in, because I just like his brand of acting,
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom Hiddleston is just
Tom Hiddleston is great. Even in instances where I do get tired of the MCU making him such a kind of like almost like a bumbling type clown figure in certain instances. Tom Hiddleston's still great in those moments. Right. Tom Hiddleston is great in the serious moments he gets when he's basically, hey, Loki, this is your life. Looking, at the flashbacks of some of the more powerful scenes of what's happened in the MCU. I love that. I love the deep cut of, Loki being DB Cooper.
That was my favorite part of the entire episode, by the way. That was awesome. Great. And the whole reason for doing that was awesome.
Yeah, I lost a bet.
I lost a bet to my brother. Brother, yeah. Heimdall, be ready.
Yeah, and if people don't know, DB Cooper is a guy that hijacked a plane in the 60s. Yep. Basically parachuted out after getting the ransom money of $200,000, yep. And he's never been found.
Never, yeah. So yeah, that was really, really quite good that they did it that way, for sure.
So another thing I did like was some of the bits of humor about the TVA Time Variance Authority, and it was like DMV humor.
Yeah,
where it's like you're waiting in line for this stuff. Take a ticket.
Yeah,
like stuff like that. That that I did like that. I thought that was pretty funny. You had the like you said, the Jurassic Park. You probably saying you shouldn't be here, and it gives you the spiel, kind of like they did in Thor Ragnarok on what Sakaar was.
Mm-hmm.
It had that type of
Yeah.
humor to it, so
Yeah.
I did appreciate that.
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I liked I liked that whole thing. Oh, I guess Michael Waldron is the showrunner. Okay, I got that backwards. Yeah, no, the Miss Minute thing was great, and the fact that it's Tara Strong's voice, I thought was pretty cool. She's a very prolific like cartoon actress. She was the voice of Batgirl, things like that. Yeah. So again, this is one that you're looking at and like you're really excited for. Like I've talked to a lot of people and like this is the one that they were most excited for coming in. And it didn't hit the ground running, right? That was the weird thing.
Right. Yeah. The like you said, the whole, and again, this is the first episode. We understand that, but like I like you when you said it's more like a zero issue. And in comics, that zero issue is kind of given a backstory that they don't want to necessarily have to deal with or take the time out of the full on story. So that's why they do these zero issues. And this absolutely felt like that, in the sense of we didn't get to what this show is about until the last 30 seconds of the episode.
Right.
And
there was just a bunch of sight gags, and then the whole point of the TVA, the Time Variance Agency, is that they're there to protect the sacred timeline. And to be honest, like they to me they did a lot of harm to any moment that made you feel anything during the first 22 episodes of the MCU.
I like that, 22 episodes.
I mean, it's a giant TV show.
Oh yeah. You said that before, and it's absolutely true.
And like there's no such thing as free will. Things are supposed to happen. Like when Loki is in front of what's her name? The judge. Just totally Ravonna Renslayer. That's a great name.
Sounds like something from Harry Potter,
right? When he's in front of her and he's like, "I'm not guilty. It's the Avengers. They're the ones who you should be after." And like I've said all along, the Avengers are the bad guys in that movie.
In which movie?
The Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh, because of Thanos. Okay,
they're the bad guy. I mean, they're literally trying to keep the status quo, the establishment in place that is hurting people. And now is genocide the answer? Maybe not, but it's really just a snap at your fingers, and it's all done. But the whole thing where he's like, no, the Avengers, and then the Judge Renslayer is like, no, that was supposed to happen. So, okay, they knew that was supposed to happen. The Avengers were supposed to go back and supposed to disrupt all of this stuff. Tony has that moment with his dad that only happened because Loki got the Tesseract from the Avengers bumbling the mission. So wasn't that supposed to happen?
Yeah, and this is one of those things, and I told you there's before, I watched it before you, and I said there's one thing I really, really didn't like, and it was this whole, this is all predetermined.
Yeah.
Everything that happened because it's part of the timeline, and it's X, Y, and Z. Discussion, whatever.
It was like the whole the drawer full of Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
and
you're playing the Infinity Stones as a gag.
Most of them were Soul Stones.
I didn't notice. I didn't pay attention to that part.
Yeah, most of them were Soul Stones, which is like, how many people were lost to get that stone? Or how many loved ones were sacrificed to get that stone? But was that just predetermined? And you just, when you go fix it, you take that? You had told me that you were kind of upset that Loki got manhandled by a couple of humans. But then as I was thinking about that, these people aren't human because they can handle Infinity Stones without burning up.
Or is that because when the Infinity Stones are in this bubble of this TVA bubble, which again, these are primordial cosmic forces. I have a hard time, and again, maybe because it's the aesthetic of that, it looks human, like the TVA, everything. There's a lot of stuff about the TVA that looks like I said, like something you would see at the DMV.
Right.
So, maybe, and again, I think we might get more about what the TVA truly is. And again, it was created by these three, to quote Loki, space lizards. So you're saying that they're more powerful than Celestials. They're more powerful than, Infinity Stones to be able to nullify this. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and yeah, about the manhandling. And again, this is not just from this. A lot of times, these shows like this, they're not consistent with strength levels, endurance levels, all that stuff. And a lot of times things are written just to say, hey, we have to do this because reasons. And like I was telling you about the Deceased, where, like Black Adam changes back into his human form in the Deceased comic line. And spoiler alert, because he does that, he gets infected. And it's like, why would he change back? Knowing what's going on, he changes into his vulnerable form, which again, I don't know enough about Black Adam, but like you said, would his form die because he's 5,000 plus years old or whatever?
Yeah.
So stuff like that is written into shows. It's convenience. It's a narrative convenience, and it's like one of those staples of fiction. But just kind of going back to that whole predetermined aspect, that's the one that's really, really bugged me, because thinking back to Endgame, because I just watched Endgame not too long ago, or Infinity War, that really, really bugged me. And here's hoping that these 5 episodes coming up will do a better job of explaining some of this. Maybe it's one long con, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that really stood out as one of those things that, despite some of the stuff I liked, that's a major, that takes away major points from this episode of the whole TVA aspect and how it just affects everything in MCU.
Well, and so like I had some questions, like maybe they are manipulating things and showing him other versions of events to manipulate Loki, because they show him Freya's death, and they say he's directly responsible for sending the Dark Elves up the path where she was, and that's what got her killed. Which is kind of heartbreaking if that's actually true and how that works. But at the same time, they show him his death, and this is a Loki from just post Avengers, where he was ripping out people's eyes and killing indiscriminately and all of that. One of the darker versions of Loki that we've had in the MCU, and he immediately becomes a Mewling Quim, and it's weird, because it's like, all right, so we've had this character around for 10 years now, and we've got to see many different versions of Loki. I've been falling for a half hour straight, pissed off, pulling out knives to kill Doctor Strange. That's probably my favorite moment in all of Loki-ness. To stranding Odin in an old folks home, and killing, trying to kill Thor multiple times. But this version that we have, it is probably the most villainous version that we've seen, and they're toying with him.
Yeah, and he got to where he was at the beginning, at the end of Ragnarok, way too fast, considering it was another 5 years until he got to that point.
And part of the reason he got to where he was after Ragnarok was because of the Grand Master, and living in fear of the Grand Master, who is a Celestial, who it doesn't matter if Loki is a god. And by the way, calling him Mr. Laufeyson was great, by the way. Because all of the promotional material was calling him Loki Odinson, and it's like, well, that's not true. Actually, as I push my glasses up to the bridge of my nose, actually, he was a frost giant. But it was. I really enjoyed that. I liked the little like this is your life or this could be your life version that they showed him. But then the big spoiler at the end is that they're hunting Loki, which was pretty obvious when they were talking about the
Yeah.
knives and the girl pointed. And I saw people like, "Oh, are they going to show Mephisto?" No, stop it. Mephisto's not Mephisto's not a thing. Jack Schaefer didn't know who Mephisto was until after WandaVision came out and people started talking about Mephisto, which again isn't a problem for me. Like some other people had issue with. The fact that Jack Schaefer was able to put that little bit of a Easter egg in there without meaning to, I think is just kind of shows how good some of the storytelling was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like this is supposed to be setting up the multiverse of madness, and I'm afraid we're not going to get to see enough of the multiverse.
Yeah, it almost is we'll get kind of like, instead of most of that movie or a good portion of that movie being the multiverse, we might get about 10 minutes of it or something.
Right.
Again, we could be absolutely wrong, but
right.
just going, and again, because this is only one episode, we're making a lot of assumptions and doing a lot of conjecture.
Well, and
I
what
do
do
have a
what
bunch.
do I always say about the pilot episode of a series?
You can't judge a series by the pilot
It's
episode.
usually the very worst episode of the series.
Yes.
So if this is as bad as it gets, we're in good shape.
Yeah.
I just think it's 6 episodes. There's not a lot of time. There's no prequel like comic book that comes from this. The other thing that kind of bothers me is the Daniel Kittlesmith is his name. It's based on one of his runs with the character Loki. Kibblesmith,
something
sorry.
like
so
the God who fell to earth. Or
the God who fell to earth. And I mean, it wasn't good. He's not a very good comic book writer. So the fact that it's based off of that unfortunately, having that knowledge of comics really bothered me. He's the one who came up with the idea of Snowflake and safe space for the New Warriors.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I purposely
geez.
waited to tell you that when we got on the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. All right. So let's just out of 5. Infinity Paperweights. What do you give it?
I give it a 3. There's a lot of there's some good stuff in this, but the biggest issue for me again is the whole predetermined timeline thing, which really soured me on this. I think I would have probably given it a 3.5 if not for that. I really love Tom Hiddleston. I like Owen Wilson. Yes, there's some predictability with this, but who knows? It could be. I'm curious to see which version of Loki and he's going to fight. My conjecture was it's going to be the female version of him, which again, that's comics, that's Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Loki could turn into a woman. He's done it before, Norse mythology. So I'm really curious to see where we go with this. Mm-hmm. But right now, this 3 out of 5.
Okay, I'm 2 out of 5. I was bored. The high points that were in there were good, but they did not outweigh the boredom.
Mm-hmm.
And they just I don't know, the only characters I cared about were Loki and Mobius. I don't care about the Hunters. I don't care about the TVA. I know, even though Mobius is part of the TVA, it's okay, the sooner we can put that in our rearview mirror, especially that Hunter B-15, she was just dreadful. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. All right. So this week's episode of The Bad Batch was called, where'd it go?
Battle Scars.
Battle Scars. So this is a topic I've been looking forward to, with the idea of the inhibitor chips in the Bad Batch and what's going on with them. I will say, I keep talking to you about the formula of this show, right? It's something bad happens to the ship, they crash or something, and then someone shows up. Like from Star Wars lore and canon and things like that.
They're on a perpetual side quest. That's what I.
Oh, that is the perfect way. They should just call this Bad Batch the side quest, the Chronicles.
Yeah, it's like Skyrim. Like Skyrim is all about the side quest. It's not the main story. Okay, fine. Yeah, you're the Dragonborn, whatever. But what about this town over there? What about that? What about that? What about that? That's me playing Skyrim and just getting, and that's how this feels to me. So, but we sort of get on track this week, a little bit more as far as, like you said, with the inhibitor chip moving the story along, which I will have to say this, considering what they know about the inhibitor chip, they were pretty laissez-faire and kind of lazy about getting answers to this over the past few episodes, knowing what it does.
Right, or what it could do. I think they assumed it didn't affect them.
Which, I mean, Tech, Echo, like, you all are supposed to be the brains of this organization or of this team, and you're just saying, oh yeah, it's our deviant behavior.
I think what we're really learning is that Crosshair was the brains of the team. Well, where is he? Where is Crosshair? I miss him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 16 episode season, so we've still got 11 episodes to go, or 9 episodes to go. Yeah. But there was that. We actually talked about this before, like in the middle of the day on the phone, right? Really the only issue I have is when Sid rips them off and then goes full Laverne from Malcolm in the Middle, like, well, you owe for this and that and this, and you're indebted to me and all of that. Why Hunter didn't just stab Sid right then and there and take all that money? These dudes are like the killers of the clone army, right? They were the ones that were brought in because they were so very good at what they do. Yes. Ruthless aggression. And then smacking Sid right in her stupid lizard face, right?
And that was actually what I thought when she said that. I was like, dude, just kill her.
Yeah, just kill her and take
exactly
it. Like, I know
said.
it's a kid's show, but like, and you know what they could have done? This would have been perfect. Is they could have killed her and taken that whole stash of money and blamed it on the inhibitor chip. Because we saw no, seriously, because Hunter had issues with it when they were trying to get the power coupling back from the energy eating monster 3 episodes ago. I don't know, whenever the last time the ship crashed and needed repairs. Anyway, but like that part of the thing, like, kind of bothers me. I was happy to see Rex. I'm not gonna lie.
He mentioned your favorite 2 characters too.
I know. That made me sad. It's like, Rex, Rex, why Rex, why? But here's my question about Rex. He has he definitely, of the 501st, he has the most iconic armor. Of the clone army, he probably has the most recognizable armor set, right?
Yeah.
And he's still running around in it with just a poncho over it.
Yeah, you might want to do a paint job to that or something.
Or just like hang it up. Like, I still don't understand why the Bad Batch run around in their Clone 99 armor. Like, I thought this was going to be a perfect time to, like, give them a new loadout and new skins and sell more toys.
But that's coming. Let's we know that's coming. But I thought it would be kind of
what's going to happen is they're going to get Crosshair back. They're going to get Chip out of his head, and he's going to be like, "Boys, we need to be in disguise." And they're like, "Oh my God, Crosshair, we never thought of that. How have we survived without you?" I don't know, guys. I don't know.
And speaking of the inhibitor chip, the highlight of the episode for me was Wrecker going all Terminator on his crew. That was that was the first time I've been excited, truly excited for something going on in this show since the premiere.
I don't know. I kind of liked Rika and Omega eating the candy and charging it to Sid. That was a nice little like moment of levity.
Yeah, that was
But no, you're right. You're absolutely 100% right. This was the best moment when they're trying to give him the shot to put him under, and the chip kicks in, and he tells Hunter, good soldiers follow orders, and then grabs him by the throat. It's like, oh my god,
yeah,
this is it.
yeah,
It's happening.
That scene gave me a little chills. How he just stopped it, and then he said that line, and he just wrecked him. Well, kind of his namesake, but
Wrecker.
It was, and then you get that touching moment where I think he was trying to fight the chip when he has Omega in his in his crosshairs, and he for a split second he hesitates, and that was long enough for Rex to come in and take him down, so they could get the chip out. But yeah, when you hear Omega saying, almost just bubbling up with emotion, like, I'm your friend.
I'm your friend, Wrecker. I'm your friend.
Yeah. And it's like, good soldiers follow orders. And so that whole 5-minute scenario was the best thing this show has done since the premiere. I'll put it that way.
I am going to do you one better. It is the best thing the show has done since season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Okay, I can't argue that either.
It was the best thing that they've done this season
it was,
so far.
It was great.
One, it was something we wanted to see and we expected. 2, it lived up to it. And 3, they didn't kill Omega. Like, so to me, it's a win-win-win, as Michael Scott would say.
Yes.
I was watching a bunch of Bad Batch, like kind of like reactionary, not reaction like stuff, but like just from some of our usual suspects. And you get the Omega's a Mary Sue. She's not a Mary Sue.
No, she's not.
She doesn't do shit. But at the end of the day, she learns a lesson in every episode. And in this one, I feel like this was a good, like, battle scars are going to apply to her psyche, because I'm hoping coming out of this, we get some nightmares about Wrecker.
And you would almost have to do that because
they're so
this is
close.
her. Yeah. And again, yes, from from one perspective, you understand logically, she might understand what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we're not just logic. We have emotions, and something that you might logically be able to say, okay, I understand why this happened. It still affects you,
right? Because
you're human, or even if she's a clone, this has to affect her. And it would do a disservice to the story and the character if they don't have at least revisit that a bit in the future.
Absolutely.
About how this affected her. Her best friend, has a gun about to shoot her.
Right. And,
that has to affect
she had a gun about to shoot him at one point too.
Yeah.
And she wasn't able to pull the trigger. Like, that was the interesting thing, right? If she was a Mary Sue, like they all say, she would have just shot him dead. So this was directed by Saul Ruiz, who directed an episode earlier in the season that we liked, and I'm drawing a blank right now. But it was written by Jennifer Corbett, who co-wrote the premiere, the pilot episode with Dave Filoni. And I think that's why this episode was so good.
Okay.
I think like all around this was like a better episode. I love that they went and found an old Jedi cruiser. I loved at the end that we got to see the Scrappers Guild, which if you played Fallen Order, all about.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though, is like maybe we'll see like a young Cal Kestis at some point, like as a background character, like just walking, like hiding or in the shadows, or like working on one of these ships if they go to like a scrapper yard. But yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
I would like
which
that.
I still need to finish that game.
Oh, it's so good. It's the first game I finished in like 10 years.
Yeah, I need to go back to that.
I was actually playing it this afternoon while I was waiting for Squadrons to re-download. So, oh, speaking of Star Wars, Squadrons is, if you have the PlayStation, PSN, what's it called? Right, just the PlayStation Network.
Yeah, the PlayStation Plus.
PlayStation Plus, thank you. It's the free game this month, so definitely go download it. It's fun. If you download it, email me, let me know. I'll give you my gamer tag. We can, you can play against me and destroy me easily. I wish I could do it in the third person. Anyway, but yeah, so this is the first one that really ends on like a good cliffhanger, because they're still on Barca and in the ship graveyard, and now here they are having the chips taken out of their heads. So I'm assuming there's going to be some amount of reorienting, and the Scrappers Guild called the Empire.
Which, yes.
So, but yeah. So, all right. Let's out of 5. Let's just say 5 deep cut Star Wars cameos. What do you give this one?
I give this a 3.5. Again, this is the best one since the premiere for me. It wasn't perfect, obviously. They still had the side quest going, but the fact that it puts just the story forward is to go with that matter is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm just gonna go with a solid 3. There's nothing wrong with this episode. I think it does what it needs to do well. But at the same time, like you said, it's more like side questy nonsense and less moving on with the story. But all right, so moving on to the next and final topic. All right, last topic: Soups and Lolo, episode 9, Loyal Subjects with the K. Directed by Eric Dean Seaton, written by Andrew N. Wong. Ton of stuff revealed in this episode. This almost felt like a mid-season finale.
Yeah, it did. It really did. And knowing these, I won't even say CW shows, but shows like this would have been that perfect mid-season finale. If this was a normal series in the sense of, say, if it had 18 or 20 episodes,
yeah,
this would be that fall, like the fall or finale that at the end of November or something like that, and then we go through January, and maybe the end of January, beginning of February, we get new episodes.
Yep. So, this one picked up like really, really kind of cool. We got Lana learning some things about
Lois being Lois.
Yeah, dude. Again, like Elizabeth Turlock, Bitsy Turlock, like she's killing it as Lois Lane. She might be like replacing Erica Durance as my favorite Lois Lane.
Oh, she absolutely, for me, she does. So, and again, that's not a slight on Erica Durance. It's just how good she has been.
Yeah, but I'm like, Erica Durance.
Yeah.
So, she's my girl. Anyway, but no, you're absolutely right. Lois being Lois, this has been, in my opinion, the most faithful retelling of Lois from the comics that we've ever seen. Obviously, Lois on Smallville was, Lois Lane, but like proto Lois Lane, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is we got to see her to mature into being an amazing pseudo comic accurate version of Lois Lane. Margot Kidder did a great job. She's, for most people, she's it for Lois Lane, like the iconic one. And I get it, but like, I like to dig a little deeper into my characters that I enjoy. But I love Lois Lane is one of the greatest characters in all of comics, hands down.
Yeah.
But so, there was that. And then the best part about this was the fact that there were actual consequences from what happened in last week's episode.
Yeah, and what I put here, unintended consequences of experimental weapons. that's one of the things you don't get a lot of in shows, where something happens and it's like an experimental weapon, and you never have side effects that, and I won't say never, but you rarely have the side effects that follow up and, you know, and cause issues with our protagonist.
Right.
And
Would you
this,
call
and
this a lab leak? Oh man. No, you're right. I mean, the unexpected consequence was just Jordan. Like, and man, that poor kid. Like, he can't catch he can't catch a break.
yeah,
He ended up going bad. Like, having to deal with everything he has to deal with, cuz like his powers, when they turn on or go haywire, they turn on or go haywire. You know what I mean? In all caps.
yeah. But one of the things I loved about, and again, I love how this show is shot. They do the slow motion and good, and they don't oversaturate us with
Right.
this. Even though I love our boy Zack Snyder, he oversaturates
Whoa,
his
whoa, whoa,
movies with
whoa,
slow.
whoa, whoa, whoa. He's not our boy. He's your boy.
Yeah, I thought that's it, my boy.
I tolerate Zack Snyder at best.
Yeah. No, that is accurate. That is absolutely accurate.
Sorry, I just I most of the time you speak for me and you're right. So
I love that. Whoa, 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 whoa.
All right, back to the slow motion. Sorry.
In this, when he Clark with the family and everything, and he hears a bank robbery in Mexico, and I love when he lands, bursts open the door, and he takes that breath where it's like, okay, something's not right here.
Right. Oh, and he's like, when he like, he doesn't grab his chest, but he rubs his chest because he's feeling his heartbeat. Yeah. But all right, so when he goes to stop the bank robbery, I feel like he's not so concerned about the world being made of cardboard, because he like explodes that door and sends door shrapnel everywhere. Right?
That probably would have killed someone.
And so
I'm just saying.
But like, here's the thing is, like, all they needed to do to make, like, to really even sell the kryptonite sickness even a little bit more is just have him shake his head a little bit. Like, wait, why did I explode the door like that? Like, just a little bit of nuance there, and it plays up the more like feeling his chest, like, taking that deep breath. But watching that guy unload the shotgun at point blank on him, and to finally watch Superman go down, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. And he woke up mad.
Oh, but he still kept his temper in check.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, and like, broken trust is not a thing with our boy Kal-El.
Yeah, and this is what I love about Hoechlin's performance and how they're writing this Soups. They're writing him more. Again, I know he's Kryptonian. I know he is the ideal of hope, as they say in Man of Steel, but he's still human, or he's not. He's still human. He's human in the sense of he was raised by human. Right. Yeah, he has humanity, so he has those emotions, and he gets mad, he gets angry, and I love how they played with that a couple episodes ago, where he got shot with the kryptonite bullets, and he was pissed.
Well, and he's still pissed off from Hell having the or Project 7734 having the experimental weapons. My favorite thing is when the way he projects madness is when he sets his like very defined jaw.
Yes.
Like, it's like, oh, like, I feel like if I ever were to meet Tyler Hoechlin, I'd be like, dude, can you just set the jaw like you're mad? I just want to see it in person, because like, it's fucking the coolest thing you do. Like, I mean, like, honestly, like, it's those little things, like we joke about Tom Welling face, right? But Tom learned that, like, as he went on, he figured out, like, hey, I can use like all the parts of my perfectly symmetrical face to like tell a story about what's happening, not just being a slack-jawed Smallville yokel. And yeah, I thought that was really, really just everything that happened there with that was really kind of cool. The visuals were great. watching him almost cross the line. Like, I feel like he almost crossed the line when he was throwing the thugs around, especially after he came to. But it was really cool, and I was shocked that when we saw the thing later on, it was Superman stops bank robbery. And it was in the story that they mentioned him getting taken down, and that wasn't the headline.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you see the after effects on him, just on him, in the sense of he looked like he got beaten with a baseball bat. A normal person.
Yeah, when he was at home with the ice and like,
and Lois was like, "What the hell happened?"
Yeah,
it's like Superman doesn't bruise,
right? Do you like that they talk about Superman in the third person like that? I really enjoy the way they converse about Superman.
Yeah, I actually, there's something, I don't know. I like something I really like about that.
Because he's Clark. To her, he's Clark.
Yeah.
And to the boys, he's Clark. But like Superman is a part of their lives, but he's just another person. And like I said, I really like that. I think it just adds a whole nother layer to the relationship.
Yeah. And one of the things I actually meant to say last week is how Lois kept her cool enough when John Henry Irons was about to stab him, to stay in character and not call him Clark or my husband or something like that.
Yeah, because
even though you
know.
could see,
yeah,
you could see in her face the panic when he's about to stab him with that spear, stab Clark or stab Supes with the spear. How she like almost, well, not almost, she freaks, but she still stays in that character. And maybe that's a way of doing it, is kind of when they're home alone, every now and then using that third person. And again, I might be reaching, putting motivations for why they use it, but still, I do like that. It's a nice touch.
I just think it's a good bit of character development. That's all. Like we always are like saying, hey, we want more from the story. We want consistency with characters and things like that. And I feel like this is something that's small that a lot of people probably don't notice, but it needs to be called out because, the Todd Helbig is running like a really consistent shop when it comes to these characters and their motivations and who they are.
Yes. And then we have, again, we're talking about unintended consequences. Not only do, and you mentioned this about Jordan having just the worst luck. Not only do we get Clark being affected by that experimental gas, you have him transferring it. You're infecting his son Jordan with it, and Jordan has much different effects.
Poor Jordan.
The effects on him.
So he got his super breath this week, and it almost killed him. I mean, I mean, he had a cold. Jordan got a cold, and like happens when you get a cold or the flu, you get fluid in your lungs. And unfortunately, every time Jordan was breathing in, his body was trying to fight that liquid off with super breath.
Yeah.
And was slowly freezing his lungs.
Which is a pretty, I mean, not for Jordan, but it was pretty cool how they explained that.
It was really quite cool. Like kind of a deeper look into the Sorry. It was a deeper look into like kind of the Kryptonian physiology and the powers of how they affect that body, like a body, how powers like that affect it, and the central nervous system, the immune system, all of that. Like I know I'm getting kind of nerdy, but I felt bad for Jordan because like now he's let Sarah down again.
Yeah.
But like her dad stepped up this time, so it's kind of like. But here's the thing: is like he was acting sick, and so it's like no, I just got sick. Like I had to go to the doctor. But here's the thing: is I don't think you've noticed this, but in these shows, parents don't actually talk to the kids or the other kids that they're friends with. To be like, oh yeah, no, he was sick. It's so he tore himself up about missing it, Sarah. But it sounds like it was awesome that your dad stepped up. That's all that takes to keep it from going so angsty and whiny, because they can go angsty and whiny. I mean, not like whiny Allen level whiny, but still.
Yeah, but there are bigger fish to fry now. That
Oh yeah.
some of this, because I agree with that point, and that's I won't say it's a miss, but it's kind of like one of those missed nitpicks, but it's a miss that could very well solve some of the issues, some of the teenage drama.
Yep. Hey,
But
and hold on, before we move on, can we just take a second and recognize Indy Narvati's beautiful voice?
wow, yes,
Beautiful voice, beautiful singing voice. Like I'm assuming it was
I
her because like I feel like these CW actresses all have that like 1, 2, 3 act. Well, hold on, 1, 2, 3 dance, sing, act in that order skill
yeah.
set. Um, and she crushed that song. I mean, that was really cool.
Yeah. So back to the one of some big revelations, we talk about, and you bring up her dad,
Mm-hmm.
and not just her dad, but what was there the Lana's friend
Emily, her friend
Emily,
Emily. Yeah.
who went through the procedure, and we see what actually happens
Mm-hmm.
when they go through that procedure. We see the melding of the Kryptonian sentience, or the Kryptonian personality. And I look at it like it's being overlaid, but it takes time to totally seep in. So
Well, they kind of explain that a little bit with the
right,
dialogue. It is an overlay, but it's not a full erasure. And it's when the original personality pokes out is when they get destroyed, right?
right.
So, or when they self-destruct. I mean, it's so close to Extremis from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, that was
Um
last week when you said that. That was a very apt comparison.
it's so close to it. It's just a little less violent of a reaction, right? Um but like we also haven't seen them like the people they're taking are like the like in really good physical condition and things like that. Like I think it'd have been more interesting to see them like healing people. Like people have been sick and just kind of like oh yeah, this person was sick and they went into Edge's facility and now they're better and look at them and but my question is, so like does Kyle, like we got to see Kyle play guitar. We got to see Kyle being a dad, right? Will he eventually
Right.
lose the Kyle memories?
Yeah, or is it more of something kind of like you're doing a comparison document
Yeah.
and you merge everything together? Like I don't. That's again, that's one
Yeah.
of those questions
It's
that
like
are
that
open.
Excel merge docs thing.
Yeah,
So yeah. Anything that's the same gets, overwritten. Anything that's different, that's where you messed up.
because you have Kyle where, and again, we were talking about this last week, how we loved what they did with him, his
Oh
character,
yeah.
and too often you have a character like Kyle where he's you just use him as, he's going to be the ass that causes trouble, but they really did a job having us sympathize for him. And then they give us this, well, I won't call it a swerve because we kind of knew it was coming. I just didn't know it was going to come this soon.
I assumed it was
In
going to
this
be like the one of the very last things we saw this season.
Yeah. So having him show up, at the Kent farm while, Jonathan and Lois are running from Emily and Big Man,
Yeah.
which I don't know his name, that were sent by Morgan Edge, because one of the things Morgan Edge says is, oh, Superman's having issues. This is a
Mhm.
perfect time
Right.
to take Lois off the board. And then Kyle shows up. I'm like, why is he there?
Mhm.
And I one thing we haven't talked about yet is Jonathan. Dude, he's got some slippery fingers. He took the weapons from the camper,
Right.
and again, that probably saved them
Yeah.
because
Well,
he.
honestly, I think Sam saved them. With
Oh yeah,
having
because
the
he gives them
kryptonite
that chance.
gas
Yes,
and like this was a good Sam Lane episode as well because you got to see just how capable of a soldier he is, and he's not some bureaucrat. Like he knew what he was going up against. He knew he was going up against Kryptonians essentially, and
right.
there was no chill there at all. He started bombing them with the smoke and was, trying to attack them and doing the best that he could as just a mere mortal. Because remember when Clark was fighting the dude last week and the smoke went off, I mean, that guy was a fully powered subject with a K. And, it took Clark, who, is a native Kryptonian, to like a little while to be able to take him down. And Sam I felt like did an awesome job, like fighting them off.
Absolutely.
Giving John and Lois time to get away.
Yeah, absolutely he did. And whatever that weapon was, I want one of those.
Oh, the solar gun.
Yeah. But the reveal that Kyle is actually, was overlaid. I'm going to use that term.
Yeah.
Was great.
Let's call it
nice shot.
Let's call it subjected.
With a K?
Because they're subjects. They're subjected.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a K.
With it.
So yeah, Kyle was subjected. But yeah, you're right when he says nice shot.
And then the cruelty of Morgan Edge, where he says he wants you to suffer, so you're going to have to basically watch me kill your son first.
Okay, so here's my question. Does Morgan Edge know that Superman is Clark? Or does he just know that Clark and Lois have this relationship from the whole Daily Planet thing, and he's making Lois suffer?
I think it's the latter.
That's what I think too.
I'm pretty sure. I'm betting on the latter, but we'll know more next week because we do have the showdown. Or the face-off. That's I would call it that, between Clark and Morgan Edge.
That was a great reveal at the end. So Lois's beacon goes off. Clark flies out to it, and it's Morgan Edge standing there, and on just some plateau. It was like almost. It made me think about the plateau where he left the thugs in the van, right?
Right. That's what it looked like.
And so, in a rare loss of just kind of awareness for this version of Superman, he goes all in, like full speed, and it turns out that Edge is not who we think he is, and he smacks him down. And
I love how the camera finally pans and you see the Kryptonian symbol
right
on his chest.
If he's Zod, though, I'm gonna rage quit the show.
Don't do that. That was
actually, I'm not gonna rage quit. If he's Zod, I'm just not gonna like it. But
for good or ill, that was my first reaction when I first saw that he's Kryptonian.
It didn't look like the Zod-El, symbol. But
no,
I'll admit I'm rusty on my Kryptonian, so
Yeah, I got to brush off on those skills.
But no, I mean that was great, and then I loved it when he just does what I feel like every Kryptonian bad guy should do, and lifts off, and is just floating a couple feet off the ground, because he's too good to stand on Earth. I feel like that is the arrogance that is the Kryptonian people.
And just remember, in Man of Steel, that's exactly what Zod did when he finally mastered the ability to fly. Well, I believe you said if you could fly, you would never.
My feet would never ever touch the ground again. So never. The only surface I would touch is when I go in the water. Because I'd still want to go underwater. All right, one thing we skipped over. The reason X-Kryptonite works in Smallville, we learned it.
Oh, huge reason.
Because they've all been around it since Clark came to Earth. Because it's the localized area of X-Kryptonite. And I loved even just the little bit where they were talking about Kryptonite coming to Earth. The meteor shower lasted for a week. And Clark goes, yeah, every kind of kryptonite. Just kind of kind of funny, but kind of just every kryptonite you could possibly think of. I just thought it was a nice little wink and tip of the hat to hey, guess what? We could do whatever we want with kryptonite because there's every kind.
All kinds.
Yeah.
I love that because
that was the coolest reveal.
yeah, and you realize, okay, yes, that's why Smallville is important to Morgan Edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that he has the ex kryptonites there,
Yeah.
but it's people who can become subjects that you know have the ability to withstand these these
Yeah.
subjections,
They can
if you
become
will.
permanent subjections.
Yes,
So,
but again,
just such a
it's
good
just the
episode.
writing and
Yeah. It's so good.
and how
The
how
acting.
everything flows together. Yes, it's just this show's just.
This is the
I mean,
superhero. Like, so if you're listening at this point, or if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. Um, but if you're this far in, like, and you haven't watched this show, this is the show that will cure any superhero fatigue you might be feeling.
yes.
It
Whether it be
is
from movies or
right
whether it be from the previous CW shows, or I mean, not
now.
previous, but CW shows that are still going on.
I know we're gushing over this show, right? We gush over this. We're very
We're
close to
stands.
being Soups and Lolo stands.
Yeah.
If we aren't already. That's debatable. But like, this is by no means a perfect show. But it's doing so many things right. The things that it does kind of get wrong, like the editor of the Daily or whatever, the Smallville Gazette or the Smallville, I don't even know. The that's a character that's kind of like, okay, like if she's not a subject at some point, I'm gonna be disappointed. Um, but and some of the other kind of like townspeople coming in, and the fact that like Superman seems to kind of be shirking some of his responsibilities, and nobody's figured out that he's not in Metropolis anymore, and Intergang just hasn't taken over. Um, it's so much better than everything we've had over the last
Yeah.
5 years. And especially where this version of Superman came from on Supergirl to now to this character.
To being from being a
Kudos.
jobber to being
Yeah.
from being the jobber to being the one getting the big push.
So like
as
he
he
went
should.
like I look at him like Jeff Hardy, right? Like Jeff Hardy was started out, him and his brother and Gregory Helms, they were going to shows and getting paid $50 to wrestle, get jobbed out when WWE was, within like 500 miles of them. And, I forget who the guy was, but that was who set it up for him, and he was taking 40 of the $50. But like, Jeff worked and became world champ. And, and it's not necessarily the same thing, but it's just seeing the work that they've put into rehabbing this character.
Mm-hmm.
I think is really cool, because even in the Crisis, he was sidelined.
Yes.
Because Lex Luthor was going around killing Superman.
Right. Which, anyway, but yeah, I love this. This is what we've wanted from Superman when he first came to the, or I wanted when he first appeared on Supergirl.
Yeah.
And we finally got it. So I just love what they've done with this show. And like you said, it's not perfect, but the good parts are so good. It puts aside, it helps you almost ignore or tolerate stuff that would be either like again, because one of the things of what I didn't like is the editor of the Smallville Gazette, or that was
right.
the thing I put on here. And I the only other thing I said was Kyle's turn, just because it was quicker than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about how they built him up last episode, it kind of makes sense why they did it right now. But again, I thought they could have used him for another episode or two before it got to this. Again, small nitpick, but overall, I mean, this show just keeps coming and just keeps giving us good content.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. All right. So out of 5 multiverse solar guns, because that was a pretty freaking cool reveal, because you thought it was just going to be a regular gun and it fired off a solar blast. What do you give the show?
I'm going with my 0.25. I'm giving it a 4.25.
Okay.
Again, I thought it was good. Most of the show was good, and then the last 15 minutes just took it off. But I mean, there were some moments, through the first part of the show that weren't as strong. I loved how we started off and got more of Lois Lane being Lois Lane.
Yep.
Love what Jonathan did,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole unintended consequences and having payoff for something that happened with what we don't see with experimental weapons, and how stuff happens that the creators didn't expect. So I like that. I love the Morgan Edge reveal. I'm really curious to see what happens with very excited to see what happens with him.
Yeah.
With Kyle saying, hey, I woke up being and I woke up in a ditch or something like that. He had a blackout.
Mm-hmm.
So how that plays into him, his family,
yeah,
and can they save him, or there's a lot of questions coming out of that. But yeah, 4.25.
So I'm giving a 4.5, but I feel like you really want to join me at the 4.5. The 4.25 is a little low. So and honestly, I give it that bump up partly because Sarah's just performance was really cool, and I think that needs to be recognized. And two, just the little bits of continuity that they keep running through this show really well. Like, they do all the small things right, and that's where most shows fail.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I think we've reached the end of the episode. So if you don't have anything else, thank you all for listening. Like and subscribe on whatever you're listening to. And if you like the show, head over to Apple Podcast, or head over to the website, and there's a link for Podchaser. Just drop in a solid review that you think we've earned, and that would be super helpful. All right. Any last words?
Nope. Be on the lookout for some content about E3 early next week.
Yeah, Daryl's gonna talk about E3. Anyway, all right. On that note, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
See ya.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Daryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.